Hessdalen, a small village in central Norway with a population of not more than 150 or so inhabitants. During the 1980s, it became the center of attention when a large number of strange balls of light and objects were seen in the sky. Almost 15 to 20 instances of the phenomena were reported every week over a period of a few years. Over the next few decades, this continued, although the numbers went down, but it is still one of those few places on the planet that can be considered as an active hotspot for unidentified aerial phenomena. I spoke to Erling Strand, who is the head of Project Hessdalen, a team that studies this activity in Norway. I hope you enjoy this video. Erling Strand, thank you so much for joining us all the way from Norway to talk about the Hessdalen Project. Sir, how are you doing?
Fine, thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
So I'll let you begin and sort of give us an introduction about the lights themselves.
Yes, I could start, the whole thing started a long time ago, back in late 1981. And Hessdalen is a small valley in Norway, only 15 kilometers long, and now it's only 100 inhabitants there. But those inhabitants started to see some strange light in the mountainside. Not so far away, it's a small valley as I mentioned. And these lights could be anywhere.
Right.
Sometimes in a hillside, sometimes close to their houses.
Right.
That was some of them in the beginning. They was frightened, if you can imagine you're sitting in your house and outside in the darkness, suddenly a big, huge ball of light is crossing slowly your window.
Right.
And that, they was wondering, what could this be?
Right. Was it, and sorry to interrupt you, you mentioned it started in the 1980s. Is there any historical occurrence of this phenomenon? Somewhere, are there in the folklore? There are stories about this phenomenon?
Very little stories. We have found some few, and we have also talked with old people and asked them if they have heard about it or seen it themselves when they was younger.
Right.
And several of those told about some sighting they had
Right.
when they was young. So there is some, but very little written. But you can imagine that's something normally you don't write about.
Right.
So if you think of, even though you may find some few, not many, descriptions of sightings, it could be that it has been much before as well.
Right.
But we don't have that documented. We don't know.
So you're saying somewhere around the 1980s there was a peak and there was a large number of occurrences of this phenomena, and we don't know why.
Yes, the big peak was it started in December 1981, and during the winter of 1982 and also 1983, there was a huge amount of sightings. We
Right.
have documented up to at the most 20 observations a week.
Wow.
But late 1984, it started to decrease a lot. And after 1984-85, it went down to approximately 20 observations a year instead of 20 observations a week.
Right.
So
and is it still happening now? Is it a phenomenon that's
yes,
going on?
it's still happening, and but in a low level though.
Right,
If we
right.
think of 20 observation now, but we do get some reports now and then from people who have seen it, and we have also an automatic station up there with camera which record if there is any unusual light seen by the camera.
Right, right.
And these data are transferred to our website.
I'm sure we'll get into the details of the phenomena itself, but just to give an understanding to people who are listening, what is this like? So basically, it's just a ball of light, or is there a structure to it? Is there a specific shape? Are there any specific physical characteristics like color and things like
Yeah,
that?
we have there's all different kind of descriptions and sightings and behavior and so on. So that's one of the reasons why it's so difficult to find one solution which fit all. But we have split the lights or the phenomena because it's not always lights. So we call it the phenomena. We have split it in three or actually four main types.
Okay.
And one type is flashes, strong white or blue flashes, which last mostly less than a second. So it can be hard to see. We discovered these because we got them on our pictures. And when we was aware that maybe there is a very short duration of these flashes, when you are aware of it, it's more easy to see it.
Right.
But that's one type. And the second type is balls of light with different shapes that can be round, spherical, and all other different kind of shapes too. They can move around, they can stop, stand still on location for a long time. At the most, we have got it on same location on 2 hours. Someone was looking at it in the hillside, and after 2 hours, it suddenly went out of the hillside and up out in the middle of the valley and started to move towards them, and then it vanished. It disappeared.
On
Well,
that point, before I move to the third type, on that point, what is the range of these phenomena? So does it go for a few kilometers and come back? How long does it travel before it extinguishes?
In the district we see, sometimes it's coming in and it can go many, many kilometers. On one occasion, we could see it for 20 kilometers when it was up in the air, though.
Right.
But very often, those interesting observations are down in the valley, so you can see the mountain in behind. And sometimes also down by the river. There's a river, small river in the bottom of the valley, and many descriptions say that these balls of light, can move down close to the river, following the river and going up again. Uh, so,
Right.
and they can be strong in intensity. Uh, Sometimes they have seen it illuminate the ground beneath it. So then you are more sure that it's at that location because you see the light it's illuminating the ground. Well, this type 2, mostly yellow, sometimes with other colors attached to it. It seems that it can be several lights in a way which are in the main light, though, because
Right.
there's different colors on different parts of it. But mostly it's yellow, and it can stand still for a long period, 2 hours I mentioned, and can move very fast as well. On one occasion, we measured the speed of this on to 30,000 kilometers an hour.
Wow.
So it can be very fast. That's the second type. The third type is when you have several lights together, not into one ball, but
So like a cluster of lights.
Yeah, correct. And when that type has been seen, when it's not completely dark outside, they see these cluster of lights seems to be connected to something. They call it the black object. And when these things are moving, all the lights are moving together with it. So
Right.
we had described, and as I mentioned, this was when it's has been seen, when it's not completely
Dark
dark,
yet.
when they have a little bit daylight left, they see it's a black object where these lights are onto.
So these multiple lights seem to be attached to a parent black shape almost.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
The fourth type is the more ordinary daylight or day, which are seen in the day. And then it's very often described as not always light. It can be seen as only as an object as well.
Right.
We have several of those that's more like standard UFO type, which more people are more maybe know a little bit about.
Right.
These has also been seen, but you can also see lights in the daytime.
Right. Do they just appear suddenly and spontaneously mid-air, or does it rise from the ground somewhere or from a solid surface?
I will say mostly you can see that it's suddenly present in the air.
Right.
And also it can suddenly disappear. Sometimes, very few compared with the other one, you can see it's coming from far away. So, and it leaving far away too. But I think the most interesting one is when it suddenly appear to be, and you can see it, not always so very far away. And it suddenly can disappear as well. Often this happened quite sudden, well, the disappearance and appearance. But you have some where this is going a little bit slower, and people have noticed that it's starting to be very weak in the beginning when you're talking about the light, and then it becomes stronger. Similar thing has been seen when it's not a light, more an object type. Well, those who have seen this in the daylight talked about as a metallic object and with some glowing light around it.
Right. Would you call that the fifth type, or is that the same as the fourth type?
Difficult. We have, I will say, the fourth type.
Okay.
And well, most it's many different types. Even the type 2, we have discussed this. If we should split this in several different types as well, but we can say that type 2 has a lot of different types, so we have that in the same type. Similar.
And do they interact with human beings? Does it come close to people? Is there some kind of experience that people have?
We have some few descriptions from people who claim there has been some kind of interaction, and we have done that during our field work too. as you maybe know, we have had Project Hessdalen field work, 2 periods in the early 80s, 84 and 85 winter. During that, the first field work, we did a test with a laser beam pointing towards not a strong one, a weak laser, weak red laser. So
like
it's
a pointer in a presentation.
yeah, like a pointer, a weak pointer. And the flashing light was on long distance. I would estimate maybe several kilometers, and it interacted in a way that it was a flashing light, but the flashing frequency doubled when the laser was beamed at it. When the laser was taken down again, the flashing went back to how it was in the original.
Right.
And we took the laser up again, and the double flashing continued. And this happened every time we used the laser towards it. So that you can say that's some kind of interaction.
Right.
You have interaction on different other aspects as well, where people claim to be interacted in a way that someone has said that they got a message and so on.
Wow.
So we have all these kind of, but I must point out that we have very few of those stories. So, and compared with all the other description we have, which mostly tell about and strange light, which behaves strange. If you count the number of observations which claims to have an interaction with the people, we have very few. So it's very difficult to claim that this is typical for everyone. We cannot do that.
Okay. So at this point, would you just say that it's just a light or a luminous phenomena, and not necessarily an object, and those instances are maybe just an exception, not a physical object, like a solid object?
Yeah, you can say that. And the solid object, as I mentioned, was the fourth type.
Fourth, yeah.
Where you have more standard UFO sighting. Compared with the number of observation of light, which are much more. So you can say that maybe the fourth type with the object is so few in compare with the other one. So it may be a different solution, and maybe a completely different thing. It doesn't need to have one solution.
Right.
And of course, if you compare with the type 1, the blue or white short flashes, compared with the object type, it's very difficult to think of this as one solution to it.
Right.
So that's why
it's possible that maybe type 4 attracts type 1, 2, and 3, or maybe type 1, 2, and 3 phenomena attracts type 4 to sort of maybe we are imagining, but
Yeah, we can. There's a lot of different speculation we can do, of course, and we can find some background info on several of these speculations, due to the fact there is so much difference in the sightings and the measurements as well. I could mention that we have measured it on instruments as well. For instance, the radar, and we could follow it on the radar screen, moving up in the valley. We had a radar on up in the field station in the valley. Well, we could follow it on the radar screen, and sometimes we could follow object type because it gives an echo on the radar screen, but we couldn't see it with our own eyes.
Wow.
So it was, in a way, you can say it was invisible, but the instruments saw it, the radar saw it.
Do all 4 types show up on radar, or just the 4th type?
We have got the radar on type 2, which was the one which we was most familiar with in the first field works. We wasn't aware of the short flashes when we had our first field works. But we don't know if it goes on to all types go onto the radar screen, because we haven't had the opportunity to use the radar when the type 4, the object type, has been seen. So we don't know that.
Okay. Just a quick 2 more questions before we look at the actual research you're doing. What is the size in terms of the physical parameters? Are they big? Are they small? But are they like, what is the scale of these objects?
They can be all different sizes. We have people who have talk about 10 meters in diameter. We have measured it to 3 meters in diameters. And we have, even though these smaller lights can be down to less than 1 meter. So you have all different kind of sizes. For instance, the object type with this metal object with lights around it, they have compared it with a truck, a size of a big truck moving on there.
Wow. And we spoke about interaction with the people. What about interaction with the surroundings? Do they burn? Do they leave burn marks on grass, or do they interfere with electronics and communication systems?
Well, first of all, burn marks. No, we don't have any burn marks. And even we have also when it has touched the ground and you see the tracks in it where it has been touched the ground, and it was snow, and the snow was not melted. You saw only the track in the snow. So it turned out that no heat. And when people have been close to it, close in the way you have 10 meters, if it had been heat, you should have felt it. But no one has ever claimed any heat from this phenomena, even if they have been nearly close. So the distance say that they should have felt heat if it had been heat.
Hot.
But on the electronics, we have captured some strange signal on our electromagnetic detection systems in different bands. If you talk about the very low frequency, we have sometimes just in the seconds before it shows up, we could see it on the screen. So it seems to have some kind of electromagnetic character. But on the other side, when these lights has been seen close to electrical cables in the air going, it has not been influenced, or it hasn't been attracted to any electrical cables, even if it has been seen close to it. So in that sense, it's hard to believe it has any electrical character. So you have the both, sometimes you can have indication that it has some electromagnetic character, but also other times not. And about the magnetic field, I measured the Earth's magnetic field during our campaign, and the Earth's magnetic field, sometimes there's what they call the magnetic storm up in the atmosphere. Whenever you have northern light, for instance, there is normally a magnetic storm if you have the instruments to measure it. It seems that when there is high magnetic activity up in the atmosphere, it seems that the probability to see the lights is higher.
Right.
We have also measured what we call magnetic pulsations. That is the magnetic field, the Earth's magnetic field, which in a way oscillate normally with 2 hertz. Not so very big, but if you have the instruments, it's possible to measure it, and they are called the magnetic pulsations.
Right.
During our first fieldwork, 40% of our visual observation was together with a magnetic pulsation. And this magnetic pulsation doesn't happen all the time. So it could be some kind of connection with a magnetic field or magnetic behavior, the behavior of the Earth's magnetic field.
So at this point, it would be safe to say that we can't really draw any conclusions yet. So there are so many possibilities, and still it's very much an ongoing research, right?
Yes, that is correct. And in the beginning, when we've used the instruments in the fieldwork, and together with sightings and cameras and so on, I hope that we could find a solution, just do some measurement and find a solution.
Right.
But it seems to be more and more strange the more measurements we have. And the strange thing is that some of the measurements can point in one direction, and other measurements point in completely different direction. For instance, when you can track it on radar, but it seems to be as strong as coming from an object. But when this object moves with 30,000 kilometers an hour, there should be a sound if it was a physical object. So that's two different. The other different could mention when we measure the optical spectrum from these lights. Sometimes it seems to be a continuous optical spectrum, which is common if you heat up something, get it very warm, then you have what we call a black body radiation, what you can see from the sun and so on. But we can measure the thing with the optical spectrum, which could indicate a high temperature, very high, as big as the temperature on the sun.
Wow, so that's like around 6,000 Kelvin or more than that?
Yes, but if you compare with that, when people say there is no heat and no burn marks, they're two different things as well. Right. So we have some measurement which point in a little bit different directions.
Directions. And there is no radioactivity. Did you ever measure using a Geiger counter?
We have not measured any unusual activity on the Geiger counter, so it doesn't seem to have any radioactivity. Although I must point out that we haven't been close to the object with this Geiger counter, so we cannot say that it's not any radioactive radiation from it, but I can say we haven't measured anything unusual on our Geiger counter.
So maybe now we can actually go into your research setup. How do you actually research and study this phenomenon? I mean, if you would like to maybe show pictures of your setup or talk about it, whatever, share your screen, it's okay. Yes.
Yeah, the Hessdalen Valley is in the middle part of Norway, which is in Europe, and it's in the mountainous area, not so very far from the nearest city is Trondheim. It's a famous university city, and the valley is only 15 kilometers long, with some mountains in the east and mountains in the west, and only about 100 inhabitants living there.
Are you from there? Are you local, or are you from a different part of Norway?
No, I'm living in a completely different part of Norway, 500 kilometers away.
Okay.
But you have some mountains and some lakes in the valley, around the valley, and it's a beautiful nature up there. So people can see it, and many people take pictures of the nature up there because it can be very nice to have a look at it.
Right.
And
could you just really quickly, could you just pronounce the names of those mountains? Because I know it's in Norwegian and not many people will be able to pronounce them.
Yes, to the left, Mount Finsåhögda.
Okay.
And the other one is Mount Rognefjell. The picture you can see in the middle here is when you have been to Mount Rognefjell and looking towards Mount Finsåhögda. Okay. In the picture you get a view of how it looks like. And the first sightings showed up in this mountainside, Mount Finsåhögda, where there was not possible to be. It's more to the right. It's not so easy to. It's not any people there. If you look at the other direction, you can see what they call Stordalshögda. It's also a mountain south of Mount Rognefjell. And you see this Hegshethögda, if you look at the picture. And you see the valley. Hessdalen is the road in Hessdalen, where you have some few houses where the people is living is in the valley, close to the river.
Right. And in a geological sense, are they pretty young mountains, or are they really ancient? Are they like quartz or just granite? Like, what's the composition? Would you know?
Well, there's a lot of different minerals in the valley. It's old, but you have a lot of copper, iron, sulfur, and other kind of minerals as well. So there has been mining in the area, not mining anymore, but they start thinking of starting a mining business again in the valley due to the fact there is much of these minerals.
Okay, so it's not a protected site it's not a research station where it's protected by the government for the sake of research purposes?
Well, the station we had set up there is not from the government.
Okay.
It's private.
Okay.
And we have changed the word. In the beginning we used the word UFO. We call it now the Hessdalen Phenomena.
Right.
And we also have the light phenomena in Hessdalen.
Right.
Because the word UFO was difficult to use when you brought in the scientist.
Right.
And in the 80s, if you mentioned the word UFO for a scientist, they backed out.
Right.
They didn't want to take part of that. And also the other fact that mostly it was seen as a light phenomena. So in the period we started to talk about the unknown light phenomena in Hessdalen, or the Hessdalen phenomena. It's more correct because it wasn't always a light. Sometimes it could be seen as a solid object as well. So it wasn't, due to the fact it wasn't always light, we moved away a little bit from the light phenomena in Hessdalen and call it just the Hessdalen phenomena.
Okay.
And the reason why we use the word phenomena and not phenomenon is the reason that there may be different solution to the different types. I have some few of the object types. The fourth type. This happened actually just before the observations of the light started in December 1981. This was from 1980, where you have a hunter which was hunting for birds. Went on, it was daylight, and suddenly he felt something, strong feeling when he was looking for the birds, and saw these tree shapes, object, flying disc type, just above his head.
Right.
And he saw the shadows. He first became aware of, first of all, the feeling, but also the shadows coming on the ground. Because, there's a drawing of what he was seeing, and there's also a description how it was from the bottom. This is also another famous sightings. It was also in the daylight, and the lady who saw this described it as brown bread with lights in front of it. Wow. It was moving slowly without any sound, and the picture in the background, you see the trees in the background. The picture was taken just where she described where she was located when they saw it. Right. But it is all caused under construction. And you have several of these Zeppelin types lights. This is an illustration of what people have described them.
Were they really fast, or were they slow, hovering over the object? I mean, were the objects hovering or just like moving really fast?
All different kinds.
Okay.
You can move fast and move slowly.
Okay.
So this is also another famous story when a woman who was driving this car in the darkness, she saw it become a light all around the car. When she was driving, she didn't knew what that light could be until when she had driven some few hundred meters, then this hat which was above her car disappeared, and then she saw that it had a light beneath it, and the light around her car she understood that it was the light coming from this object type.
Right, right.
You have lights in the daytime. This is a barrel of light. It has been put where the observer said it was. It was below the horizon of the nearest mountain, and it was in the daytime, and the sun is coming from the left. And what noticed the observer, the brightest part of this yellow barrel of light, the most intense or the lightest was on the other side of the sun. You should expect that if you have sun illuminating something,
right,
you should be strongest light where the sun is.
Yeah.
But this was opposite.
Right.
This is also a drawing made of a witness. She went up in the middle of the night because she couldn't sleep, and went to the window, and in front of the mountain she saw this first it was looking as the one to the right, and then it moved in a way, and she saw the bottom, which you can see in the middle, and the third, just before it disappeared, it was looking as the one you can see on the left.
Right.
This is the drawing made of the observer.
Right.
This type is a drawing made of also of the observer. It was in the day light when a silver shiny object slowly come out of an invisible portal in the sky. It was just as it was coming out of something in the sky, it became visible. This happened slowly, and it disappeared also after a short period of time. This is actually a real picture. This is the original. This is not an illustration.
Right.
People have taken pictures of the nature up in the valley because of the beautiful nature. And when they have looked at the pictures afterwards, they have noticed that on some few pictures there's something else which has been caught.
Right.
And this is one of the, you see the green arrow is pointing to it, and it's a blow up right after. This one also, and if you enlarge that part,
looks like a disc, no?
Yes, it does. But I didn't see it in the daytime when they took the picture.
Right.
They took the picture of the nature, and they saw this on the picture afterwards.
Right.
This one is also similar and showed up on the picture. And the strange thing, well, first of all, it looked like a cube, but you see one part of it is more dark, and that is towards the sun. So you should expect that when you have the sun, which is coming from the right or back right from the observer, you should expect that the dark part of it should have been towards the sun, but it's darker. So that's the opposite again. This is also another strange form which showed up in the daytime.
Right. And all these are in the Hessdalen Valley, around the Hessdalen Valley.
Yes, yes. This is a drawing made by the observer of where you have several lights together, and he saw the black thing which you can see on the right part, yellow, white part, and the red one in front. And he managed to take a picture of it. So here's the picture.
Oh, wow.
The red light is on the front of it, and the two yellow one in the one is in the middle part, and the left one is in the back.
So the whole thing is one object, or was one structure, not like three different.
Yes.
Okay.
One object, and he saw it, the black object as well, but when they took it, didn't come out on the picture because the light was so intense.
Right.
So the camera didn't capture it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, you have also several. This is from a video sequence where it seems that light is coming out from the main light.
Right.
We have also similar when it goes the other opposite direction, goes from outside and into a light. But these are different pictures from the light, and you can from the movie video, and you can see the light is coming out of it. Yeah, we have set up an automatic station which trigger a recording system.
Right.
Once something shows up, light shows up, and on the upper left picture, you can see to the left part of it up in the air.
Right.
You can see the video it recorded in, and the lower right picture is after video sequence stopped, and then it goes into alarm modus again, and this is the second alarm system.
Right.
Let me see if we get you. Can you hear that?
Oh, yes.
Like that, too much. You can.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
There was a small light going up in this big light. Well, this is a map of where I saw my first observation, and here's a picture of it. You see the light phenomena here, and you can see also the edge of Mount Stordalshögda. That's the mountain on the east, and this photographer was standing on Mount Finnsöhögda, the mountain on the western part of Hessdalen.
Right.
And this first observation, which I saw as well, I was up there, and it lasted for 1.5 hours. And this light could stand still for some minutes on one spot, and then it was moving slowly around and stopped again. Sometimes it turned on what looked like a spotlight,
right,
illuminating the ground. There's also another picture that was taken of it. Yeah, there are different types, many different types. This is a picture was taken with long exposure, 30 seconds, and there was a flashing light. And on the picture, you got 3 flashes.
Right.
And the first one to the left, you see some just some light without any strong shape. But in the next one, you see something going to be more clear in the middle, and to the right, you see only the last, with all the different. Not on the round, or all different kind of shapes.
Right, and this is over a period of time, right? This is changing the same object over a period of time.
Yeah. The one who took this picture said that during the exposure time, it disappeared. But what he didn't realize that he managed to get the disappearance onto his picture.
Wow.
It happened so fast that he wasn't for him, it just disappeared. But it seems that it has moved to the left a little bit and then down in a sharp angle and up again and continue disappearance to the left.
Right, right.
And with that speed and with that sharp angle, it's very difficult to think of some solid object can do something like that. Yeah, you have also several pictures which seems that something is coming out from the main light, and also the other direction, also going in. Yeah, you have some drawing made of an observer who saw he was, if you see on his drawing of the map to the right, it's marked where he was standing with his camera, and the number A is where it saw it the first time, and he managed to take a picture, and he did take a picture as well, or two pictures in fact. This is the first one. It's a foggy day, and it was moving in that direction in front of this mountain, and it disappeared just behind this hillside. And it was foggy, it was snowing sometimes, so it seems to show up in all different kind of weather conditions.
Right.
Yeah, there's also another one, and you have blue flashes I mentioned.
This will be the type 1 that you mentioned before.
That's that's type 1.
Right.
Yeah. And this was seen on we had a camera system set up which took a picture automatically every minute with 30-second exposure time. And if you study then we study the pictures afterwards. You can see we use a grating in front of the camera. So every light, you can see also what color it consists of. If you look in the left part, you can see different lights coming from houses.
So when you say grating, you mean like a diffraction grating?
Yeah,
okay.
Diffraction grating. But what was interesting on this picture is this blue light, which seems to move very fast and oscillating.
Right.
Sometimes.
So there's a bit of wobble as it disappears.
Yeah. We have several different pictures of flashes. When these flashes start, they normally come several flashes after each other, and this during this night, during the science camp where we take students up there, we got 15 pictures of these flashes, and here are some few of them. Sometimes is below the horizon, and some is above the horizon.
Right. Wow, so we do have a lot of documented evidence in that sense, a lot of data in terms of pictures and videos. So
yes, we have. Well, this started in late 1981. but we had two field works one in 84 and 85. Well, it had continued from 81, so before we had the first field work in 84, it has gone a couple of years.
Right.
But no one did do anything before that, so we started the Hessdalen field work ourselves.
Right.
But after the field work, the intensity had gone down to a very low level. I mentioned up to 20 observations a year.
Right.
But when I was up there in Hessdalen and I explained what we have used, the data we had on the first field work, I said that, well, it still continues up there,
right.
But we don't tell it about anymore because in the beginning we were so ridiculed. But decided to put an automatic station up there,
right.
and that we did in 1998. We call it the blue box because it's in a blue container, and this has some instruments in it.
Right.
Just now it's only a camera, but we have had radar and magnetometer and several weather station and so on.
Right.
Now we are in the process of renew all these old instruments. So anyone who wants to support us or become a member of Project Hessdalen,
right.
They will get more data, of course, and if they pay us a little bit a small fee, then they support our work.
Right.
And,
but is the data that you captured now public domain, or is it in your servers, or is it freely available to anyone?
Yes.
Okay.
Everything published here is for everyone.
Right. And just on the subject of the blue box, so that's like the crux, the center of your research, right? So everything that you do, all the instruments, everything that reads the phenomena is in that, like across.
Yes.
Okay.
We have also a white box, but that is not connected to internet. It's more out. I could show you the website as it is now. If you go on the hessdalen.org website, you come to this one. This is where we put up some information about we put up some information, describe the different types, and about the station and so on, and some of the teams working. Right. We have a Discord server where it's those who want to become a member can just click here, and then it doesn't need to cost much.
Right.
For instance, £5 is enough to be a member. We're planning a field trip for people who want to go up there, and we will guide them next year, September. So if they go into hessdalen.org website, they can go see this one, and you can get on the different, you can click on further on. If you click on the old Hessdalen website, you come to the old website where the data is still coming in. For instance, we put up some instruments, also some interesting pictures.
Right.
From that year. And they can also see other pictures from, pictures from every year, in fact. Right. From the automatic station. And you can also find what the pictures other people have showed. You can also, this is from the station though, The live cam is not up running at the moment. We hope to get it back in business. But you can get, the report from the first fieldwork, you can click a report from 1984, and then you get all the data we got from the first fieldwork. When I mentioned this change of flashing frequency with pointing a laser towards it, it's described here. We have also every observations talked by people every year. This is from this year, and if you click here, you can get the different descriptions and all the reports done for everyone on the different years and what. So you can read about the stories seen by the people.
Right. So there's some kind of so basically there's a systematic data collection and reporting of this phenomena for the last at least a decade or two.
Well, we started with this, let me see now, observation this year, observation previous year. We started in the first one, 76, 96, 97, 98. But it was after 98 we got the system on it. So there's a lot of more stories from before 1998, which we haven't written into this one. As I mentioned for you, it could be up to 20 observations a week at the most. Not all these are in here.
Right. So since we are kind of running out of time, I just had two more questions to ask you. One is, how did you get involved in this research in the first place? Because it's the phenomenon that's well known, going on for a long time. What is your background? How did you get involved in this?
Well, I was in 1981, or when we started the project in 1983. In fact, we had the first fieldwork in 1984, where I had the responsibility for the scientific part of it project.
Right. But how did it? If you could just go a little bit before that, how did you come in touch with the project? Like, how did you get involved in the first place?
Read about it in a newspaper about the sightings.
Okay.
It was before in the project. I read about it in the newspaper. Many people went to the valley themselves to try to see it, and I and some friends of mine did do the same and did see it, and it made a very strong impression on me. And after, didn't do so much after that first, my first observation, but some friends come together and discussed what we should do, and we decided to start Project Hessdalen. That was in 1983.
Right.
And
what were you doing before that? Were you teaching? Were you an engineer, or what was it?
I was back in 1980. I was working as a research department in Oslo.
Okay.
But when I started the Blue Box again, I was teaching at the assistant professor at the University College.
Okay.
And I've been doing that for many years. Together with this research we are doing, I have used a lot of my students in the work. So a lot of student involvement in this exciting thing.
Right. One last question. So when I was researching on this topic of these light phenomena, I realized that this actually similar or maybe same kind of phenomena or similar related phenomena happen at different parts of the world. Especially I found, there's what they call Marfa lights in Texas and Min lights in Australia and many different places in England. And even in Bengal in India, I find that it's the so-called marsh lights, which the unexplained balls of light occur. First of all, are you familiar with similar phenomena in different parts of the world? And are you aware of other teams working on similar projects in different parts of the world? Are you guys collaborating on this, maybe?
Yeah, I've been to different places around myself,
Right.
and I'm aware of several others as well. So I'm aware of it.
Right.
I've heard about it, but the cooperation, we don't have any
collaboration
in that sense. Well, that's not true, because late, I think the last 2 years, there have been new teams. This is more popular now, and we are in contact with a couple of these teams.
Right.
So there is a cooperation, but it has been slowly increasing. So now we are in a cooperation with a couple of.
Right. So I think we have to stop here as we run out of time. So I have to thank you so much for going into so much detail and explaining to us about the phenomena and the project itself. Erling Strand, thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you, sir.
Thank you.